Alright, so, much like the segment states, it is unbox and learn. So, what are we learning about today? Well, as I unbox, I figured it's a good subject to go over plastics as well as Hasbro and their future plans on top of that. Now, owning stocks in Hasbro always leaves you with like updates after updates of what the company plans on doing with their projected course to continue profiting for those who hold stocks within Hasbro, the company. Moving forward, they are heavily looking into basically digital entertainment. So they're probably going to be making a bunch of cartoons, probably a bunch of AI slop. I'm not really sure, but they definitely want to get into video games. That much I do know. The other part is they want to steer away from what they're most well known for, which is figures. And off of that, they've been doing figures since, well, they were conceived as a company, as far as I know. And they were the pioneers in many things, as far as the bringing Diaclone over to the States in the form of Transformers, sort of getting that toy line of changing items going on in order to compete with the new and more eccentric figures coming out at the time. Other than that, Transformers itself, definitely, especially with all its continuity errors and everything else in every series, every movie ever, they were purely meant for toys. I will certainly say the comics, on the other hand, definitely tried very hard on story arcs. So I'm actually kind of sad they didn't focus more on story, which might get more people hooked into this rather than just trying to sell toys. But anyway, that aside, that's not the point of the conversation today. Point of the conversation today is me as a collector, the world as a functioning balance as a whole, and then the toll that their future plans, Hasbro's future plans, and current manufacturing take on the world itself. And what do I mean by that? I mean this. When I got the collection in the background, and for my own intents and purposes, I love having this collection from an engineering prospect, as well as a childhood nostalgia prospect, and then on top of that, a creativity prospect. Because I do appreciate a lot of the shells and engineering above all else as far as this series of toys are concerned. But on top of that, when I look at something like this, I think of the grand scheme as a whole. One, giant plastics problem. We know that much. Microplastics are a thing. They're in every single thing now because of us. No way around it. Humanity made it. And now it is currently being pummeled into the ocean, into fine particulates, which is making it into the food chain, which is why 9 out of 10 adults today have microplastics in their waste or in their bloodstream or in their tissues in one form or another. So mostly almost everybody. On top of that, how can I possibly support the constant manufacturing of the very thing that's bringing such detrimental problem to our environment? Well, simply put, I don't, as a society, expect us, if we want to make any change at all, to keep doing this and making these figures in such large scale and having them processed all around the world. However, what I do know is that more and more 3D printers are becoming more affordable, and more programs and more files are coming out in order for you to either make whatever you want or at least download whatever you want and then 3D print whatever you want. But then there's Hasbro as the company of what they want to be. They hope to dive into more of the video game aspect, the content creating aspect, and all other forms of media they could probably attach to, movies, etc., whatever. Possibly comics, which they'll probably keep going. I don't know if they'll do with IDW or what have you. But anyway, the big part is, even though it's not into the form of plastic, I still think of the manufacturing as a whole, because you're still going to need people. You're going to still need an office. You're going to still need programs. You're still going to need computers, the hardware in the computers, which everybody is basically on a drought of RAM, which is a big thing. because it actually has taken Micron, a chip manufacturing company, out of the pool altogether of publicly traded stocks for RAM producers. It's not even under that genre anymore because it cannot cope with the amount of demand that's already there, let alone the stagnant amount of stock that is available. But continuing on, all of these still require plastics, metals, etc., and they are still detrimental to our environment as a whole. And even then, with their transition over to content creators, they still will be consuming quite a bit of resources to feed these people, to power these people, to make these programs that they want to make. And realistically, as a whole, if you take into water consumption, the actual plastics that they'll be shelling out, the actual resources they would need to actually keep these people programming and everything like that, it kind of weighs out to be the same. Even if they transition over to 3D printers, you still got plastic poop created by those 3D printers and the amount of branches they never will use. But in short, we got a lot to figure out. But for now, I'm going to love what I love. And hopefully down the road, when it's all been either banned or changed, then maybe they could be museum pieces. If one just makes it to a museum, I'm happy.